Hey, welcome back to another Life Skills. I think this is our second one in this new year, and we're so glad that you tune in, and it's really important that you can get some of this information that we're sharing. Today is a huge topic, and it's very, very important, and it could affect the rest of your life if you listen to what we're going to be sharing about internet safety and not connecting with the wrong kind of people. I can remember years ago I had a friend who was a pastor, and that was when some of these fake emails were coming across and offers were coming across, and he got caught up in something where he was going to get millions of dollars if he could just put $20,000 down, and he actually was trying to raise it, and he almost did it. And it would have been a terrible devastation to him because it would have been a scam. He would have lost it all, and then he would have been paying that money back the rest of his life. And recently we've even had an employee at Rogue Retreat get caught up in a scam that was totally innocent, but it's going to affect them for a long time. So I want to encourage you to listen in on what we're going to be sharing today and let it kind of help you make decisions in the future. A lot of stuff on the internet just isn't trustworthy. So you got to make sure you don't take every phone call and believe it, and don't take every email and believe it. But we really want you to be successful in life. We want you to not make some mistakes that you're going to pay for years. And so glad you're part of Rogue Retreat's family and you're a participant in this program. And we're excited about the future you're going to have, and we really want you to be as absolutely successful as possible. Have a great day.
All right, so good afternoon or good morning, wherever you may see this. My name is Kirk Chrome. I'm a detective with the Medford Police Department, and currently my assignment is as a financial crimes investigator. And I've been doing that for probably the last 12 years or so. And I've been asked to come in and present some things with how to protect yourself, how to protect your identity, some of the frauds and scams that are out there. But before we get into that, I want to begin with a story of a case that I recently investigated that unfortunately didn't have a positive outcome, and I'll explain that. So I was recently assigned to follow up with a case where a gentleman reported being contacted by somebody that said they were with the Social Security Administration, and that there were some issues and that he may have a warrant out for his arrest, and he needed to basically pay a fine or fee to clear those warrants up. So the victim was concerned about this, obviously, and so he had agreed to pay some money, and it started out with him sending some gift cards, like either Nike gift cards, Vanilla Visa gift cards, and actually he doesn't even have to send them. What he did was he was instructed to get about $5,000 in gift cards, and so he purchased $5,000 worth of gift cards and was able to basically photograph the front and back of the gift cards and text it to the suspect. This allows the suspect to then use that gift card however they want. That obviously didn't end the scam, because the scammers then called back and basically told him that he needed to send more money. Somehow they learned that he had a sizable settlement that amounted to about $70,000 or $80,000, and so they demanded that he send $30,000. And the victim agreed to do this, went down to his local bank, and the local bank actually told him that it was a scam and they were concerned and they would not do it. The victim went back to the scammers, and basically all communication was through text, and told him the bank wouldn't allow him to do that. So they instructed him to switch banks and then follow through with the instructions. So he did. He closed out his account at the one bank, opened a new account at the other bank, got a $30,000 cashier's check, and deposited it as requested into the scammer's account. Of course, this didn't end the scam. They now demanded $40,000, and so he followed through with that the second time for $40,000. And when they asked him again for more money, and again with gift cards, he started to get the idea that this was a scam, at which time he called local law enforcement. Unfortunately, enough period of time had gone by that all that money that he had paid out was basically gone. and we were not able to recover that for him. And so I tell you that story because here's a gentleman that he had had some problems in his life. He had been to jail before. He did not want to go back to jail. And because of his fear of that, he agreed to give up pretty much all of his savings in order to avoid that. And so what I want to tell you right now and to everybody there is the government, whether it be law enforcement or the Social Security Administration or any other government entities, will never ask you to pay a fine or fee via gift cards. So that's the first thing. So that's just a reminder on that. Okay, so let's talk first of all about protecting your identity. In the state of Oregon, your identity refers to a number of different things. It refers to your name, your address, your date of birth, your social security number, your driver's license, your credit cards, bank accounts, anything that has either your personal information or information that was given to you by an institution like a bank or the government or a business. And so the first thing you want to do is just make sure that you safeguard that as best as possible. So the example would be is not to write all those numbers down and carry them on scraps of paper in your pocket. Not to give those numbers out to anybody unless it's in a capacity like a bank where you're going in for a loan or you're going in to open an account. So you really want to safeguard that information as much as possible. If you do lose any piece of identification or a credit card, driver's license, Social Security, two things you want to do is immediately report it to that entity that issued that. So a Social Security card, the DMV, and then second is to report it to local law enforcement. A lot of times in cases that we investigate, we come across items that we believe are stolen, and we are unable to track people down to return those items to them. But if we have a report in the system for a lost driver's license, a lost Social Security card, a lot of times we can connect the owner back up with that card. The other part about protecting your identity is to not give that information out to anybody over any type of electronic media. So for example, don't be sending your Social Security number via text to somebody. Don't send it out to somebody that you just met on Snapchat or Instagram. Don't send it out through Facebook. Because what happens is a lot of the scammers out there nowadays are going through social media to make connections. For example, I've worked several cases now where through Facebook, a person will friend the victim. And once they've friended the victim, they'll begin casual conversation. This casual conversation can go weeks, months, or even years with no really criminal activity happening. And then all of a sudden one day, the suspect will offer assistance or make a suggestion, which then leads the victim to fall into that trap and start providing information out. A lot of these cases look at like they're gifts or loans. And what the fraudsters or scammers will do is they will use a person to move money through. So one of the scams that I constantly get hit with, for me personally, is that I've stayed at a Marriott, and as a result, I've won a all expense paid trip. Well, this is just an attempt to get my information and to use that information. Now, it may be they're trying to take money out of my account, or they're trying to get enough information where, for example, they may say, hey, you've won this trip, we're going to give it to you, and we're going to give you $5,000 in spending money. All of a sudden, a check shows up for $5,000, maybe $6,000, maybe $7,000, maybe $10,000. And what they want me to do is deposit that check into my account and then send them anything that they spent or cent that was over. So for example, they say, hey, you won $5,000, but we're going to send you 7 and we want you to send us 2,000 back. Well, hey, $5,000, not bad. The problem is that check was never good to begin with, and so now that money that I'm sending back to them comes out of my pocket. Protecting your identity is really important. And we talked a little bit about scams. So I'm just going to summarize some scams that I've seen, that I've investigated, or maybe I've gotten called on also, because nobody is really immune to the phone calls that come in. I've blocked my number. I've applied for the do not call list, but I still get those phone numbers in because really the scammers don't care that you've said don't call me. They're going to continue to call. So one of the scams that has gone around is we call it the grandparent scam, where the suspect or the scammer will call an elderly couple and basically say that they're their grandson or granddaughter and that they are in jail in Mexico, and the grandparents need to wire or Western Union or send a money order for a particular amount. The scammer will have enough details that they've obtained either through social media or the newspaper or public records that the grandparent is convinced that they need to send money to a foreign country, usually Mexico or Canada, to get that person out of jail. This is a scam. Another one may be this is the IRS and you forgot to pay your taxes and now you have a warrant for your arrest, and in order for us to clear the warrant you must send $5,000 in gift cards to a particular location, or you need to purchase $5,000 in gift cards and then give them to us. So you can kind of see with just those two scams that a lot of them are asking you to send money to clear up something. They use that threat of being in trouble, that threat of having a warrant, that threat of I need help to get you to send money. And so the big key on that is if somebody asks you to send gift cards, or somebody asks you to send Western Union, or if somebody asks you to send a money order, those are things to really key in on. The Medford Police Department has really tried to work with our banks and our merchants so that they understand the scams that are out there. It's good and it's bad, because what will happen is, like the first example I gave you, the bank says, we believe this is a scam. Unfortunately, the victim went back and told the scammers, hey, the bank thinks it's a scam. Well, they're smart enough to have that person close that account and go to a different bank that's not going to ask questions. I've worked several cases where a bank or a business has told the person directly, this is a scam, and they still didn't believe it. Folks, please, if a business or a bank tells you it's a scam, I can say with probably 99.9% of the time it is going to be a scam. Don't fall for it. Block that number. Don't reply back. Don't take any action. If you're concerned about that, you certainly can call the local police department and talk to an officer, or report it if you did actually send money. The other part of that is if you do fall for these scams, a lot of times people are very embarrassed by it. But please talk to somebody about it. There may be some remedies. We have been able to get money back at times, depending on how quickly we act. And additionally, the banks, if you believe you're a victim of a scam, the banks may be able to stop that transfer. The final thing is, a lot of these scams we're talking about are from outside the area. Probably the biggest scam I've seen lately that's gotten a lot of people in trouble is a friend, for example, a friend comes to me and says, hey, I don't have ID, can you cash this check? They then put your name on the check and you go and put it into your bank and give that person money. Most of the time, that's going to be a stolen check that person had received. Either they stole it themselves or got it in exchange for something else, and they are now using you to put it through your legitimate bank account, and then they get the money. And unfortunately, it looks like you are the suspect in that case. If you do have somebody that comes to you and asks you to do that, politely decline, because that person, if they don't have ID, should be able to get it, or find other means to cash it where it makes them responsible for that. So again, a lot of these scams, when you just look at them on the face, can seem very complex, but a lot of times they have a key element that's a threat, and that you must send money or gift cards. So if you could just remember those two things, that, hey, I feel bad because I have a warrant, or I didn't pay taxes, or my grandson or granddaughter is in trouble. If you recognize that, and then you recognize that they want money, you can avoid most of those scams that are out there. I thank you for your time, and if you ever have any questions or feel that you've been the victim of a scam, please feel free to call the Medford Police Department. Thank you.
Hey Susan, maybe you should pull your mask up over your nose.
Okay. Aren't we 6 feet apart?
Yeah, but
It's so uncomfortable. I'm trying to work and my glasses keep steaming up.
I understand, Susan, but let's just keep our mask up, because it's not about you. It's about other people.
I see people all the time at the grocery store and they're just walking around with their mask like that. They're not sick,
But
obviously, or they wouldn't be out. I don't understand. What's the big deal about it?
Yeah, but the COVID virus, people don't know that they're sick. So they could potentially be giving it to other people and not even know it. And wouldn't you feel horrible if someone got really sick because you just didn't want to pull your mask up over your nose?
Oh man. When you put it like that, wow, I would feel horrible. Okay, new rules. I'm gonna make sure I put my mask on right. I wonder how many other people just don't really know that. I didn't realize I had to cover your nose too. I figured I'm not breathing through my nose. Why does it matter? But maybe we need to.
It's so important, because people that are older and people that are of color are way more vulnerable. And we don't even know that we're carrying the virus, and we're going around with our mask down, and we're giving it to other people and making them very sick.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you,
I appreciate
Susan.
you telling me.
Thank you for being understanding, Susan, and
All
keeping
right.
everybody safe.
You're welcome. Thank you. I'll try to do better.
Okay.
For being on Life Skills. How are you doing today?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. So you're wearing the green vest. You're out here for clean sweep. Can you talk about a little bit of what that means?
So the green vest represents the clean sweep crew. We come out, pick a neighborhood every day, and sometimes a business, and go ahead and clean that up. It helps people that are like in between jobs and stuff like that. They get a $10 gift card. Do that a couple days a week. I'd head down to Walmart, get stuff you need.
So you're at the Kelly shelter right now, correct?
Correct.
And how long have you been there?
Almost a month now.
Okay, and would you mind sharing a little bit about what brought you to the Kelly shelter and your story?
Due to COVID, I lost my job. I wasn't really prepared for it. Didn't have much savings. Saved up. Wasn't able to, keep on paying for my apartment.
And I think that's a problem that a lot of people have run into with COVID, and even before COVID, that just rent's expensive, everything's expensive, and it just adds up, and you can think you're doing good in a good situation and then just get behind on stuff, right?
Right.
So what's something that you would say to someone that maybe just showing up at the Kelly shelter and just lost their job and it's just at the beginning, that now you're a month into it, that you can look back and say there is hope, or there is something to look forward to?
Well, the Kelly shelter is a great place, man. You know, it's a safe place to stay. You know what I mean? You know, you can get a shower in. You know, they provide dinner, breakfast, and stuff like that. So, you know, I'd recommend it to anyone that's, you know, out here. You know, it's better than being out here.
And
for sure.
And I know Todd will want us to mention something. If people are interested in Clean Sweep, do you recommend doing Clean Sweep?
Oh, for sure.
All right, that's all I have for you, Travis. Thanks for being on Life Skills.
Thank you.
So this week we've talked a lot about safety. First, internet safety, and then the safety of keeping other people safe by wearing your mask and keeping yourself safe as well. I know for me that internet safety piece is really important because I have a lot of information on my computer that, you know, personal information that I really don't want other people to see. So I try to obey the rules and all the stuff that Officer Cromwell talked about that will keep my computer up to date and safe and good security and everything like that. And then we talked a little bit about wearing a mask properly. So that's really important. And of course, our little skit, I was being a little obstinate about it. But in reality, it's really important to me that people wear their mask properly. And I do see all over town people wearing a mask, maybe just over their mouth and not their nose. And, you know, that's just not okay. And I have a true to life story where a lady just didn't bother to wear a mask, but she ended up having COVID, being asymptomatic, and gave it to her elderly husband who died. So we don't want to ever see that happen, and I would be devastated if that happened to someone that I know and love, or even someone that I don't know that I came into contact with. So not to like make you feel bad or anything, but be sure to wear that mask properly. We're doing it out of love for other people. Love for our elderly folks who are more vulnerable, for people of color who are more vulnerable as well. We just want to keep other people safe. Okay, so have a great week. And as always, we love you, we care about you, and have a wonderful week. We'll see you next time.